You're watching South Asia Newsline, and here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Monday, the 25th of May. Rubio tours Taj Mahal and Amer Fort during India visit. Chinese President meets Pakistan PM in Beijing. And high inflation drives up cattle prices in Bangladesh ahead of Eid. And now for all the details. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio visited the iconic Taj Mahal in Agra and Amer Fort in Jaipur on Monday as part of his 4-day visit to India aimed at strengthening ties with New Delhi amid concerns over tariffs and U.S. engagement with Pakistan and China. Accompanied by his wife, Rubio spent nearly 1.5 hours at the 17th century Mughal monument and posed for photographs. U.S. Ambassador to India Sergio Gore described the Taj Mahal as a breathtaking symbol of India's rich heritage and craftsmanship. Speaking to reporters, Rubio said talks with Iran remain a work in progress, expressing cautious optimism about a potential agreement to reopen key shipping routes and resume nuclear negotiations.
We're still a work in progress. As I said, we thought we might have some news last night. Maybe today. I wouldn't read too much into it. It takes a little while to hear back. So we have what I think is a pretty solid thing on the table in terms of their ability to open up the straits, get the straits open, enter into a very real, significant, time-limited negotiation on the nuclear matters. And hopefully we can pull it off. It has a lot of support in the Gulf.
Rubio's visit includes the Quad foreign ministers meeting in New Delhi on Tuesday. During talks with India's foreign minister S. Jaishankar, Rubio on Sunday described India as a key U.S. strategic partner with strong alignment on terrorism and energy. Jaishankar called the U.S. a reliable energy source for India. Rubio also discussed trade and energy with Prime Minister Narendra Modi and conveyed President Donald Trump's invitation to Modi to visit the White House soon. China's President Xi Jinping met Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif in Beijing on Monday as diplomatic efforts to ease tensions between the US and Iran continue. Sharif thanked China for supporting peace efforts in the Middle East and said Pakistan had played a sincere mediating role between Washington and Tehran. Beijing also expressed willingness to work with Islamabad for the early restoration of peace and stability in the region, reports suggest. Sharif, accompanied by Pakistan Army Chief Asim Munir, also held talks with Chinese Premier Li Qiang during his 4-day visit marking the 75th anniversary of diplomatic ties between Pakistan and China. According to Pakistan PM's office, both sides reaffirmed their all-weather strategic cooperative partnership and reviewed cooperation in economic, security and technological sectors. They also agreed to advance the next phase of controversial CPEC project with focus on industrialization, connectivity, agriculture, digital transformation and clean energy. And a bomb blast targeting a train carrying Pakistani security personnel in Balochistan killed at least 24 people on Sunday, with the Baloch Liberation Army claiming responsibility. Meanwhile, a women commander of the group accused the Pakistani state of suppressing Baloch identity and marginalizing the community politically and socially. A report.
At least 24 people were killed and more than 100 injured after a bomb blast hit a shuttle train carrying Pakistani security personnel and their families in Balochistan's Quetta on Sunday. The explosion derailed part of the train and was reportedly followed by gunfire. Witnesses described scenes of chaos, with burnt vehicles, damaged buildings, and rescue teams pulling victims from destroyed train carriages. The attack was claimed by the separatist Baloch Liberation Army and is the latest in a series of strikes on trains, security forces, and infrastructure in the mineral-rich province that borders Iran and Afghanistan, where Pakistan has launched counterinsurgency operations after some of the deadliest violence in years. Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif condemned the incident as a heinous bomb explosion and expressed condolences to the victims' families. Authorities said investigations into the blast are ongoing.
ब्लास्ट होने के बाद बाहर आके देखा तो ट्रेन पे काफ़ी ज़्यादा हमला किया गया था, जिसकी वजह से बहुत सारी कैजुअल्टीज हुई हैं, बहुत सारे घर डैमेज हुए हैं। उसके अलावा जो है शदीद किस्म का माली नुकसान हुआ है, अंदर शीशे वगैरह टूटने से काफ़ी लोग जख्मी हुए हैं और उसके अलावा भी जो है जानी माली हर किस्म का काफ़ी नुकसान हुआ है और ट्रेन के अंदर काफ़ी कैजुअल्टीज हुई हैं। अभी तक असली तौर पर नहीं बताया जा सकता।
Earlier, a woman commander of BLA, Shehbaz Baloch, accused the Pakistani state of oppressing the Baloch people and eroding their culture, identity, and rights in a video released by the group's media wing, Hakal. Baloch separatist groups have long demanded independence for Balochistan, alleging Islamabad exploits the province's vast gas and mineral resources while neglecting local communities.
दुश्मन पाकिस्तान में दुश्मनी पंजाबी में साइल व वसाइल लुटपुल में नस्ल कुशी और में तबाही और बर्बादी हातरा और वो ती काबिज रियासत बच्चारी निगे हातरा फौजा बगैर वो ती द मुख्तलिफ इदारा जालबूला वारकंत.
Bangladesh on Sunday recorded 16 more fatalities of children with measles-like symptoms, taking the death toll to 528 since mid-March. According to the Directorate General of Health Services, Dhaka district reported the highest number of new deaths with 8 fatalities. More than 1,300 new suspected cases were also reported during the same period. Confirmed cases also rose by 128, taking the total number of confirmed infections to 8,622 so far. The outbreak has spread rapidly across Bangladesh in recent months, putting heavy pressure on hospitals and already strained healthcare services, especially in rural areas and densely populated low-income communities. Health officials say children under 5 remain the most vulnerable, particularly those who are unvaccinated or only partially immunized. The WHO recently warned that declining routine immunization coverage had increased the risk of a large-scale outbreak. In response, Bangladesh has expanded emergency vaccination drives, strengthened disease surveillance, and deployed rapid response teams across affected regions. Moving on, soaring inflation and rising fuel costs are driving up cattle prices across Bangladesh ahead of Eid al-Adha, placing added pressure on both traders and buyers during one of the country's busiest festival shopping periods. At Dhaka's Gaptoli cattle market, one of the country's largest livestock market, traders say the cost of raising and transporting cattle has increased sharply compared to last year, pushing farmers to raise prices significantly higher. Sellers say the prices of the cattle feed, labor, medicines and transport have all risen over the past year, increasing the overall cost of livestock rearing. The crisis has been exacerbated by the Iran conflict, which has pushed up global oil prices and triggered higher fuel costs in Bangladesh, which have added to transportation expenses for animals brought from different parts of the country to Dhaka. Some wholesalers say the cost per bull has increased by tens of thousands of taka, costing up to 50,000 taka compared to the previous season. Despite sufficient supply in markets across Bangladesh, demand remains relatively slow due to high prices, which have made purchases difficult for many households already dealing with inflation and rising living costs. Traders also report a clear gap between sellers' expectation and buyers' spending capacity just days ahead of Eid al-Adha.
দাম বেশি হইতেছে মনে করেন যে সব জিনিসের দাম বেশি খাদ্যের দাম বেশি সবকিছু জিনিসের দাম বেশি এই কারণে মনে করে যে এবার দাম বেশি হবে আর গতবারে চেয়ে এবার গরু কিনছে বেশি টাকা গতবারে মনে করেন তার চেয়ে 50,000 কি গরু বেশি কিনা এই কারণে মনে করে যে দাম বেশি হবে
হচ্ছে আমাদের তেল নিয়ে একটা সংকট তৈরি হয়েছিল যার কারণে হচ্ছে তেলে আমরা জানি যে বৈশ্বিক একটা হচ্ছে সমস্যার কারণে তেলের সমস্যার ঘাটতি হইলে হচ্ছে কি বিভিন্ন দামে জিনিসের দামও বেড়ে যায় সেই অনুযায়ী হচ্ছে খাবারের দামও হয়তো বেড়েছে সেই অনুযায়ী হচ্ছে খামারিরা যেটা তারা আগে হচ্ছে খরচ করে পালতো তার চেয়ে বেশি পরিমাণে খরচ করে পালতে হচ্ছে এই কারণে হয়তো একটু দাম বেশি তারা পাচ্ছে
Moving on, British climber Kenton Cool returned to Kathmandu on Sunday after completing his historic 20th ascent of Mount Everest, extending his record as the foreign climber with the highest number of summits on the world's tallest peak. Cool reached the summit on 22nd of May during what he described as one of the best Everest climbing seasons he has experienced in the last 2 decades. Speaking to reporters upon his arrival, Cool praised this year's route conditions, especially through the Khumbu icefall leading to Camp 2, calling it probably the best he has seen in 20 years. His summit came during a record-breaking Everest season in Nepal, with 274 climbers and Sherpa guides reaching the summit in a single day earlier this week. Despite reports of crowding near the summit, Cool said his team avoided congestion through careful timing and route planning. He said the group spent around 10 minutes alone on the peak, describing it as beautiful and memorable experience.
So the icefall up to Camp 2, probably the best I've ever seen it in 20 years. It was really good. So lots of work by the icefall doctors, a lot of work by the EOAN to open the route after the delay. But once the delay was over, especially the EOAN, they worked really hard to get the ropes to the top. And then the Sherpas, they worked really hard to get all the logistics in place. So it was a really good example of Everest doing what Everest should do, which is this collaboration and hard work by the Sherpas and by some of the companies to make it all work. So it was good.
That's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Good night.